Hi, welcome to Break Time with Brakeman. I'm super excited today to have um, our UAW family members from Local 2179, which is located in New York City. And first, I want to toss it over to Vilma Torres-Mulholland, who is the president of UAW Local 2179. And with her, we have three booksellers from the Strand Bookstore in New York City. We have Will Bobrowski, who is the second vice president, Brett Bates, who is a shop steward, and Melissa Guzzi, who is a shop steward. So, Vilma, you want to tell us a little bit about the local?
Well, good morning, all. It's nice to see other faces other than mine in the mirror, or my husband's. Uh, these are my local represents the book, the Strand Bookstores in New York City. It's one of the units that we have. We also represent AMC workers, the theaters, and an array of other units. This shop is being hurt because they were closed in March. So these workers have been out of work since then. We are preparing and waiting on the governor to let us know as we move forward when we can go back to work. We surely miss everybody. This 2020 has been so far a year of this pandemic. So many things have changed. So many things are so negative that sometimes you get discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
But having the support of the union family, having the support of the workers, supporting each other, help us stay strong and move forward. So I will let the guys know and you take on, and let's see where we go from here. And I hope everything is over soon.
Yeah, and I know your local has been hit pretty hard with people being laid off, and um, you've been working really hard to stay in touch with folks, and I certainly appreciate that. It's really hard out there. It's really hard.
It is.
So who wants to start? Will, why don't you, as the second VP, talk a little bit about what's going on for you?
Okay. Yeah, so like Vilma said, we all got laid off from the Strand in late March 20 something. Um, Everybody got on unemployment. We're all full-time workers by contract, so um, the company was quite cooperative. All the paperwork was already in with the state before we were laid off. So although there were delays due to the system crashing out, um, and with the 600 top up from Bernie Sanders every week, we're all actually making more money right now than we would be.
That is
And we're not paying for a
the
Metro
problem of this
card or lunch
pandemic.
or, you know. Um, so, I mean, it's enforced staycation, you know. But
Mhm.
yeah, it hasn't been too bad. Most everybody's healthy. I don't know if anybody actually, a few people got ill, but nobody hospitalized in our membership. Nobody, nothing, that bad. No parents or immediate family members or anything that I know of. So I guess you could say we've been kind of lucky. We've all been just stuck at home.
Yeah. Thank you, Will. I want to, what I didn't say about our members at the Strand Bookstore is you are all just amazing. You show up at everything, you participate. Hi, Pat. That's Pat Mulholland, Vilma's husband, who is a super, very active member of our Veterans Committee and just a dear person in our region. Hi, Pat. How you doing? Good to see you. So, Melissa's also really active in our women's committee. So how is it going for you, Melissa?
It's going okay. I live in the South Bronx. We've been really heavily hit by the virus here. It's no one in my household got sick. A few of our colleagues got sick. With all the current unrest right now, I'm remiss to not be out there participating as a lifelong protester, but you know, I have a responsibility to my neighbors to keep them safe. This neighborhood's very vulnerable, and I take that responsibility very seriously. So I've been staying home and donating money to causes that matter, including the GoFundMe for the George Floyd's family, and you know, doing everything I can to stay active and involved from home. You know, and keeping in touch with people who are in the Women's Council and see how they're doing. And, you know, if they need anything, I'll let them know I'm here and they can call me anytime. And I'm more than happy to wave my my two cats in front of the camera to give them a smile if they need it.
Please do. I love it.
Yeah, they haven't interrupted me yet. They're circling me right now, wondering what these voices are.
So, Brett, I see you have our shirts from a couple of leadership conferences ago. I love that shirt. It's one of my favorites. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're doing, Brett.
I am doing well. I guess current update, I have been to the protests last several days. So like everyone, especially in New York City and LA and stuff, the combination of COVID and the protests is certainly a stressful time, but overall I'm doing well. On unemployment, like Bill said, medical insurance has come through now. So yeah, good overall, hanging in there, I suppose.
So, I mean, it's sort of almost like, how can you not talk about like what happened to George Floyd, and how are you all, you're right in the, you know, sort of where some of the biggest protests in the country are going on. How are you all experiencing that? And I know, Melissa, you said you're doing as much as you can without endangering your community. Where are folks at with this, and what are you thinking?
You know, I chose not to go out in crowds and be in the street because, again, if I get sick, I am putting my neighbors at risk. I live 2 blocks away from senior center housing, and I cannot in good conscience be out in the crowd right now. So I'm doing everything I can online to donate money to causes that matter, bail funds, George Floyd's family's GoFundMe, and anywhere else that I can put, you know, my money where my mouth is, because I can't put my boots on the street right now.
Yep. Yeah. What about you, Vilma or Brett or Will? If you, I don't know about you. Yeah.
I'm doing everything I can, like Melissa, from online. I'm even doing negotiations on Zoom.
Yeah.
And I miss going to the shops and interacting with the workers. I miss that a lot. But in an effort to stay safe, not only for me, but for all of them, and of course my family as well. We go to the office 1 day a week, each one of us, and we always have masks, gloves, sanitizers, and we just being very cautious, and hopefully I'm praying that none of us or any of my members suffers this devastating disease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Brett, did you want to say something? You can have what's it like?
It is definitely unlike any protests that I've ever been to. There seems to be not a lot of precedent, really. There's thousands of people, you know, you're used to going to the protest at whatever, 2 p.m., it's over at 5 p.m., maybe, you know, there's some yelling, but mostly, you know where you're walking. This is much more like when you go out, you don't know where the crowd will walk, you don't know how long they'll be out.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, the last couple nights they've broken the curfew pretty openly, thousands and thousands of people. The first time I went out Friday was very, after dark, it got very intense. They walked over the bridge a couple of times, but there were, fires and stuff you've seen on the news. So it's, I think the combination of, you know, the struggle for Black and brown people for so long in the country, coming right after being cooped up in quarantine. I think that has made a sort of perfect storm of people with a lot of energy and anger who are, it's pretty intense and sort of a little chaotic.
Yeah, that's been my experience in the protests that I've been to. It's yeah, you know, as a white woman, it's really, you know, I have a lot of work to do on my own, you know, sort of my own racism, you know, my own white privilege, and how am I part of the problem? So, so is there anything else you all want to say before we end here today? Pat, do you
If
want to
I,
say a few words?
oh,
Go ahead, Will.
I was just going to say regarding the current protests and George Floyd and all. I mean, honestly, like Vilma said, this is my third union call this week on Zoom and whatnot. We were doing negotiations this week. I've been talking with the company. Brett and I talked with management on Monday. I mean, I want to be out there, but I don't want to get my head cracked open or get thrown in the clink and miss an important meeting. But I have gotten out here in my neighborhood, and you know, I think the reason it's so crazy here in New York, I think it's important to say that the NYPD has been, I mean, they've always been bastards, but this is a level of aggression that I have not seen in almost 20 years here in the city. Like, they're just being insane about assaulting anyone. They can, you know, journalists, clergy, elected officials, anybody. They're just beating people on the streets wantonly. It's, everybody I know is just enraged at the NYPD specifically right now, here in the city at least. It's just an impression I wanted to share.
I must say that the sad part about all of this and all the demonstrations is the riots, you know, the looting and all of that. It takes away the meaning of the demonstration, you know, and then it adds to people thinking, oh, see, they're thugs, and you know, agreeing with what our, well, I won't even call him president because he's not my president, but, you know, they agreeing with what he's saying because of these actions. And that is very unfortunately, because it kills the meaning.
Yeah.
This virus has really been a highlighter on all the problems that we have in this country. And one of the big highlighter items here in New York is you can see what economic and racial disparity looks like here when you look at a map of New York City and see what the hardest hit boroughs are. And the Bronx, where I live, is one of the hardest hit boroughs in the entire country because the people that live here have no access to proper health care, limited access to proper health care, and they are the frontline workers. They are the people that have to go to work in the middle of this. They are the people in the middle of this, and they don't have a choice. And it breaks my heart to see something happen like what happened in Fordham. The Fordham area section of the Bronx was looted, and it wasn't all big chain businesses like Nike that can afford to have their shoes stolen. It was family pharmacies that have been around for generations that were robbed blind. And for what? I mean, I understand that, you know, we're all angry. This whole thing is angering. And, you know, you add on top of the COVID and you know, how that has highlighted our disparities, you add to that the reminder of police brutality. And it's just it's a powder keg. And I understand being angry. I'm a lifelong protester myself, but you know, there's a line. You know, you don't hurt your neighbors. You take care of them.
Yeah. Yes. I think you all share my sentiments in feeling outraged at what's happening, and sort of everybody, you know, cares is trying to figure out how to process all of that. And I think that's playing out in our streets. And yes, I would agree with you on the NY. I actually saw, we need to end now, but I did see an interview with the NYPD commissioner, and it was just like, it was, oh, everything's fine, everything's going well. And I was like, how do you contrast that with the pictures you see on the street? You know, it just doesn't compute for me. So, so listen, I want to thank you all for doing this. I want to thank Pat for joining us. We should do one of these interviews with the veterans, Pat. So I'm gonna make that happen.
I'm gonna talk to my boss first.
Yeah. We'll talk. So one last plug, our leadership conference is going to be virtual this year, June 19th from 6 to 8 and the 20th from 9:30 to 11:30. I think the Friday night session, we are going to be sort of engaging around the George Floyd and racism and stuff like that. We're trying to figure out how to do that. We can't, it's not responsible not to have the discussions now, even if they get messy and ugly. So, so anyway, thank you all. It was great to see you.